We get over things on Wall Street pretty quickly. There were some worries about this a couple of weeks ago. Now no worries at all. What is your base case for how this evolves in the coming months?
Well, I mean, I think a lot depends on what happens with NAFTA. Ultimately, I think that's really going to be the big driver of how bad this gets, if it gets bad at all. I think what happened was when he finally got to what the tariffs were, it was actually pretty tame. I think the one thing that people just seem to lose focus on is that these things don't operate in a vacuum. And as much as we like to talk about, the size of our economy and we can weather this, the average U.S. consumer whose credit card debts are at an all-time high, if they see a price increase in Walmart or other places because these tariffs ripple through the economy, that's a problem for the overall economy. And I don't think we talk about that enough.
Well, that raises the point, doesn't it, Ian? The actual appetite to really push this in a material way. You can get the headlines and say you've put tariffs on steel and it might please some part of the electorate, but are you really willing to drive this forward in a material way that could mean real price pressure?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the big question. And the market doesn't like uncertainty. So I think, we'll see what happens. But to me, the market's basically waiting for the next indication. And, you saw some Chinese headlines today about doing some reciprocal tariffs.
Yeah.
EU continues to talk about things. The more the rhetoric turns up, the less the multiple is going to be able to expand on the market, and it's going to keep a lid on things for a while.
Paul Richards, just quickly, the Treasury Secretary saying the US goal is not to have a global trade war. It doesn't feel like on the policies they've come out with so far that that's actually what they're looking for.
I don't think you bet against Trump. When he says something, he tends to mean it. I do think, per Ian's comment, I think NAFTA is a critical part of it. NAFTA will prove that a deal is possible. I like the fact that Merkel is more vocal now that all the electioneering is out of the way in Germany.
Yeah.
She's sending her number 2 to Washington. So the big one here is realistically is what happens with China. I think the rhetoric could get worse than the actual actions, but you need to be a bit careful.